Hi guys, and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how I replaced the brake wheel cylinder without having to remove the brake shoes. This saves a lot of time on doing a job like this. This is a brake failure repair. Watch what I found and how I show you a couple of tips on how to make this repair. These brakes failed due to a fluid leak. This is something that just developed. This vehicle was inspected 2 months ago and the customer wasn't told about any brake fluid leaking. If so, the car wouldn't pass inspection. When I looked at it, I couldn't find the leak. I added some additional fluid to the reserve, had someone pump the brakes for me, and I had to really look to find the leak. When I finally did find the leak, it was on this back wheel. So before I moved the drum, I thought for sure it was going to be leaking from this brake cylinder. They often leak on the ends, but what was really leaking was from this brake line. Can't get the camera back here. Get some light on this. When I was under the car, I didn't see it leaking, but when I rubbed that brake line just a little and knocked some of the rust off, it just started dripping out. Right in here. Here's where the crack is, and it made this puddle. Well, there wasn't anything leaking when I first looked at it because the fluid was that low. This is from the fluid that I put in. The good part about this is that this brake line is a short line. I'm trying to get the camera in here and I just can't position it right, give you a good view of this. Here we go. It goes down and around and right up into here. I used a vice grip on that bracket not to snap it when I took this line off. Now, I bought the brake cylinder, but I didn't think I was going to need it. But when I went to take this brake line off, everything back here was corroded. Not just the line, but the cylinder itself. Now, my first tip, unless you're experienced, and if you were, you wouldn't be watching this video, is to take a picture of what you have right here, or a video. If something should go wrong, you don't want to have to take the other wheel off to see how to put it back together or guess. Having a picture of it is really helpful. To do this job, you need some basic tools. You need your jack to get the car up, your jack stands for your safety, some wheel chucks, a lug wrench or sockets to get the lug nuts off, and a line wrench to get this brake line off. You don't want to strip this nut, taking it out of this cylinder. Now on this job, I used a torch with a propane tank to heat up the 2 bolts that hold this cylinder on. They were so rusted that the penetrating fluid just didn't work. Can't get an impact wrench back there. And what I did was to heat them up and put this wax on them. Did that several times and it came out like butter. Here is the new brake cylinder. Comes with the cap on it for the bleed valve and this cap for the brake line. I keep that on there until I get the brake line on. Here's the old cylinder. Could you see how the metal's missing? This is where the brake line is supposed to screw into it. It just rotted out. Let me put them side by side, maybe you get a better view of this. Now you see this metal right here? That's what's missing on this one. Yet it wasn't leaking from that. That started leaking when I had to break it away to get the line out. Here's the new brake line. This is a little fun, bending this. Oh, you need you need a tubing bender to bend this. You don't want any kinks in that line. With the brake line disconnected and the 2 bolts in the back loosened up, you simply adjust the parking brake to push the brake shoes out. By expanding the shoes all the way out, gives you room to pull that cylinder out without having to remove the whole assembly. When you take out the 2 retaining bolts that hold that cylinder in, save them. They don't give you new bolts when you buy the cylinder. Don't know why, they just don't give them to you. If they're really stripped, you might want to buy new bolts to get in there. Now, when attaching the new cylinder, you want to make sure the slots on the end line up with the brake shoes. Before I attached the brake line and the 2 mounting bolts, I had to bend the brake line to snake it through. But when I attached it to the cylinder, I only put it on snug. I didn't tighten it. And then I put the mounting bolts onto the cylinder also. Again, just a little snug, not tight. That gives you a little bit of wiggle room. If you tighten this down, you're going to have a hard time running that brake line and getting everything adjusted. Once you have everything attached and everything's lined up correctly, then tighten it down. This job should take about an hour and a half to do, but because of the rust I had to deal with, this took me several hours to get done. The penetrating fluid wouldn't work. I used that wax and the torch, and that worked like a charm. I don't recommend you try this at home. That torch and wax, it's a very flammable situation. You're working with flammable fluids. If you encounter that amount of rust, you might want to bring it into a shop and have them do it if you can't get it off. That heat and wax is best suited for working on something that's non-flammable. Once this is connected, the brake has to be bled. Now I'm off to do the other side. Unfortunately, some of this video was lost. I hope that it was still of some help for you. And let me know if you have any questions by posting your comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by giving it a like. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button right up here. That Joe Z button. Make sure to hit that and ring the bell. And until next time, guys, stay safe.